I'm here to talk to you about the Italian Renaissance. Starting in the 14th to 15th century is the Italian Renaissance. The Italian Renaissance originated in Italy, however, eventually expanded throughout all of Europe. It challenged medieval intellectual values and styles. It also suggested a certain amount of political innovation and built on a more commercialized economy. It really wanted to stress the importance of individual achievement. In political theory, a man named Niccolò Machiavelli emphasized realistic discussions of how to seize and maintain power. Also, with the Italian Renaissance was the smaller Northern Renaissance, which obviously took place in the north, such as France, the Low Countries, Germany, and England. Overall, the Italian Renaissance culture stressed the very important theme of humanism.
Around this time period in the year 1517, a German monk named Martin Luther nailed a document containing 95 theses to the door of Wittenberg Church. He was protesting claims and selling indulgences for money, and he was also convinced that only faith could gain salvation. This later going on to create the Lutheran version of Protestantism, which urged state control of the church as an alternative to papal authority. He even translated the Bible into German in the 1530s. This Protestant attacks later led up to the Catholic Reformation and the new Jesuit religion.
Swag!
Okay, Jacob.
Alright, what's good? It's your boy Jacob. I'm posted on a roof. Let's talk about the scientific revolution. A century after Martin Luther posted the 95 Theses on the Catholic door below us, the scientific revolution began. This affected intellectual life and promoted changes in popular outlook. A Polish clergyman named Copernicus used astronomical observation and mathematical calculation to disprove the Hellenistic belief that the Earth was the center of the universe. Also, the Italian Galileo publicized Copernicus' discoveries while adding his own basic findings about the laws of gravity and planetary motion. In 1687, a man named Isaac Newton published his Principia Mathematica. This drawing the various astronomical and physical observations and wider theories together in a framework of natural laws. Overall, the period of the scientific revolution was the time of science being the key to gaining and defining knowledge. I'm out.
The feudal monarchy that had been defined Western politics since the late post-classical period came undone. After religious wars finally died down, mercantilism was created to finance Louis's expenses in wars. The Glorious Revolution ended the reign of James II when he made it clear he wanted Roman Catholicism installed. This would cause monarchs to consolidate powers by weakening the feudal nobles. The monarchs got so much power that the French system became known as an absolute monarchy. The birth of a nation also became the beginnings of nationalism. The royal proponent of this was King Louis, XIV, I don't know how to say that, who claimed, "I am the state." He began a major part of arts which gave government a cultural role beyond the previous levels in the West.
Hi, this is Chechu Becha. Within culture, the aftermath of the scientific revolution spilled over into a new movement known as the Enlightenment, which was mainly centered in France but also spread within some other parts of the Western world. Enlightenment thinkers continued to support scientific advancement. Chemists gained new understanding of major elements, and biologists developed a vital new classification system for the natural species. A man named Adam Smith created a classic book named The Wealth of Nations, which set forth a number of principles of economic behavior. Another contributor was Encyclopedic, which compiled scientific and social scientific knowledge. Also, feminist thinkers such as Mary Wollstonecraft argued that new political rights and freedoms should extend to women. This later creating the journal Des Dames, suggesting that men might be somewhat to blame for women's lowly position. Also, scientific and philosophical findings such as Encyclopedic Britannica won a wide audience and sometimes a substantial fortune.
In the 15th century, Portuguese Prince Henry the Navigator organized a series of expeditions along the African coast and also outward to other islands. In 1434, they passed down the African coast, bringing back slaves, spices, and stories of gold. Later in the 15th century, Portuguese sailors ventured to the Cape of Good Hope in an attempt to find India, giving them easier access to luxury clothes and spices. Then, after the discovery of the Americas by Italian navigator Christopher Columbus, Portugal redoubled its efforts, hoping to scare off new Spanish competition. Vasco da Gama's fleet of 4 ships reached India in 1498. While facing hostility of Muslim merchants, the Portuguese managed to obtain a lot of gold and to return with a small load of spices. Also, a Spanish expedition under Ferdinand Magellan set sail westward in 1519. It was in the basis of this voyage, the first trip around the world, that Spain claimed the Philippines, which it held until 1898.
Later in the 16th century, Northern Europe began to take the lead as far as exploration and expansion was concerned. Europeans, mainly Dutch and British, improved the design of oceanic vessels, producing lighter and faster ships than those of their Catholic adversaries. The Netherlands, Britain, and France all chartered great trading companies, such as the Dutch East India Company. These companies were given government monopolies of trade and designated regions, and were not rigorously supervised by own states. Also, for some time, a Dutch trading company effectively ruled the island of Taiwan off the coast of China. The British East India Company played a similar role in parts of India. These companies traded actively in furs.
Also, during the 16th century, the Columbian Exchange begins to not only trade food, but diseases as well. Nearly 80% of the Native American population died. This was a major blow to Americas as well as an opportunity for Europeans to, in a way, form a new population of their own citizens and slaves. However, it was a positive in a way that New World crops were spread rapidly via Western merchants. Sometimes these new crops and agricultural improvements triggered large population increases, thus the Columbian Exchange was destructive yet helpful.
In the early 16th century, new waves of colonial expansion began. Successful Spanish conquistador Francisco Pizarro discovered the Incan Empire and conquered quickly and brutally, stealing immense amounts of gold, silver, and other treasures. Later, Britain and France stepped up, establishing New France, which by 1755 had around 50,000 settlers, and a peasant society that proved extremely durable as it fanned out around the fortress of Quebec. Also, Britain attacked the French strongholds as a part of a worldwide colonial struggle between the two powers in the 7 Years' War. France lost its colony under the terms of the Treaty of Paris, which in 1763 settled war. France eagerly regained its West Indian sugar islands and its trading posts in Africa, and Britain took control of Canada and the Mississippi Basin.
Starting in the 17th century, Africa and Asia started up coastal trading stations. Europeans, for the most part, contented themselves with small coastal fortresses in Africa. There are two important exceptions, such as Portugal sending expeditions into Angola for slaves. However, more important was the Cape Colony planted by Dutch on the Cape of Good Hope in 1652. Their intent was to form another coastal station to supply Dutch ships bound for Asia. But some Dutch farmers, or boers, began to run out large farms in a region still lightly populated by Africans. As colonization in Asia entered a new phase, portions of the subcontinent became an area for growing rivalry between Britain and France. The British East India Company gained a station of Calcutta, which gave it some access to the great wealth of the Ganges family. I said family instead of valley.
What's going on? I'm posted in a gym. Let me just, hold up. Oh. Everything in this gym came from the Renaissance. These two people playing a game came from the Renaissance. Overall, throughout this time period, the world began to think and develop more in the fields of art and science and focus less on the religion. However, religion was still very important. It wasn't as important. Thoughts and views of people all across the world began to change. Also, countries worldwide began to expand and colonize. All of these were huge contributors to the transformation of the West and its connections to the rest of the world. I'm gonna go win a game of lumberjack. Peace out. Values and styles. It also suggested a certain amount of political innovation and built a more commercialized economy. Gosh dang it, I'm sorry. We have to go again.
Read!
Oh. Ow!
Those two bright spots above his head look funny. It's like he's got like
Magical powers.
Actual life and promoted changes in popular outlook. A Polish clergyman named Copernicus. Dang, that sounds like my dad.
It's Polish.
What?
It's Polish, not Polish. Polish. Like
Well,
you
maybe
know,
you
Poland.
maybe you should capitalize your P's in Polish so that I understand it.
there's some grammar for you.
Is it not capitalized?
No, it's lowercase. So, and there's a piece of paper that's torn off.
Okay, but what sense does Polish mean? Polish clergyman?
A Polish clergyman, you know, he was clean cut, you know, had a nice
Polish.
beard.
So, I'm at the park with Jacob and Caesar. And we're trying, or well, we were doing a project. Oh my god, this is what they do instead. I'm so done. I picked the worst part.
Oh! I knew you was gonna do that. It wasn't gonna work. Back up. Oh, there you go.
We're never gonna get this done. Failure. Goodbye, world.
Ew, right.
We're gonna fail. We're gonna fail. Oh god, they'll suck at basketball too.
Laws of gravity and planetary motion. As you can tell, I did not pass English class. Exactly. In 1687, a man named Isaac Newton published the Principle Mathematical. What?
Mathematical Principia?
The Principia Mathematica?
Yeah, that.
The Principia.
Yes, that's what the book says.
Are you
Principia.
sure?
Yeah, I did.
The Principia Mathematica.
I didn't just.
I can't do this. Hold up. I wasn't ready.
Oh man.
He wasn't ready. Later in the 16th century, Northern Europe began to take the lead as far as exploration was. God. You told me to talk faster, and I talk faster, and I mess up.
you to talk
Cut
faster.
7.
In the 16th century, new waves of colonial expansion began. Wait, did I start talking?
Starting in the 17th century, African nations.